Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Savannah. In anticipation of the new DLC arriving soon to Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale, I have been doing many things to prep my valley, including actually totally demolishing all my previous builds, and I have been trying to brainstorm who I think might be moving to the Storybook Vale, as well as where do I think I might be placing some of these new characters, whether it be in Dreamlight Valley, the Storybook Vale, or of course in Eternity Isle. So in the Storybook Vale, we can expect 3 new biomes, including the Bind, Ever After, and Mythopia. Each one of these biomes has its own unique feel, and they all look incredible. I think these are going to be some of my favorite biomes ever, and I can't wait to start decorating them. But first, before I ever really start to do any kind of decorating, it's important for me to kind of figure out the vibe for the area. And a big part of design planning for me is what houses or buildings do I have that I think would look nicely in that biome, and then I kind of build the world around those homes. So the first biome we will be coming across is the Bind, and this looks like a quintessential fall biome. We have been wanting this. I'm really excited for new foliage we'll see in this biome and being able to bring that into the valley for some fun fall designs using some other red and orangey trees other than that one red tree we already have. This biome has books all throughout it. That is going to be a big theme in Storybook Vale, of course, storybook being in the name. There's a few houses that I think would look particularly good in this biome, so let's go through those now. Don't mind the appearance of my valley. If you want to see how it looked before I destroyed everything, definitely check out my valley tours. But lately, I've just been going through all of my houses and buildings in game and trying to determine which homes I think might look good in these 3 new biomes. So here is where I have kind of been dumping houses that I think might look good in the Bind. Now, I think I saw Belle over here. Belle has to be nearby because Gaston has made an appearance. I thought I just saw Belle. Oh, there she is. Okay, so perfectly that leads me into speaking about Belle's cottage. With this biome being filled with tons of books, I feel like Belle's cottage would be a perfect addition. The colors on it are absolutely beautiful, and I think that they'll also suit the biome really nicely as well. So I think Belle's cottage would be a really nice home to move into the Bind, but I've placed a few more over here that I'm also kind of considering. I don't know if there's going to be enough space for all these homes or if they're all actually going to work together. This could definitely change, but I'm just kind of like giving myself a rough draft and wanting to give you guys ideas on some homes that might look good in these new biomes. So the next one I have is the Wilted Flower Cottage with these lovely orange petals descending off of the flowers. And I think that this is just a given for this beautiful new like fall aesthetic biome we're gonna get. I think that this would look really nice over there. And of course, we recently just got this Halloween cottage too, and I think that the 2 of these homes look really nice together, but I also think that they could also look really lovely in the Storybook Vale together. That's another home I'm considering. This Halloween cottage is covered in autumn foliage, and I just feel like it might be perfect over there. So that's another home I'm considering possibly moving to the Storybook Vale. Now, let me move this Halloween cottage just a moment here, because in back of it, we definitely cannot forget about our friend Gaston, okay? I actually really like Gaston in Disney Dreamlight Valley. He was brought in with the previous DLC, A Rift in Time, and he's become, I don't know, one of my favorite characters to interact with. He's just so funny. without even trying. I think Gaston's home is gonna look really good in the bind. I'm hoping that maybe he can learn to read by spending some time in the bind. Who knows what could happen? Either way, I think that this rustic cottage is gonna look so good over there. Also, the green and the orange, I think really goes well with some of these other homes I'm considering. I also think Gaston's home looks really good with Belle's cottage, ironically enough. So Gaston is another villager I'm considering moving to the bind. He could absolutely despise living there, but it's up to me to decide. Now, in the showcase, it was revealed that Scrooge's as well as Remy's restaurant in the bind would have their own unique look to suit the biome, and I'm so excited for that. I'm hoping that's something they'll continue. I'm not sure if you'll be able to move those stores to other locations and if they'll like morph into like a different aesthetic like in Mythopia. That wasn't really clear, but right off the bat, I'm just expecting to keep those buildings in the bind because they'll work so nicely in the areas. So I'm kind of considering possibly moving Mike and Sully into the bind as well. Now, their house kind of gives bookstore vibes. It looks very academic, and that is definitely the feel I get for the bind. So this is another home I'm considering. I also just don't really have a place for it in my valley. It does kind of look good with like Remy's house and Remy's restaurant, but I don't know, it might find more of a permanent home in the bind. What do you guys think? Where do you guys currently have Mike and Sully? It's kind of like a universal house that works in lots of different areas, but I think it could really look cute next to Scrooge's and Remy's restaurant in the bind. Now, my choices here are a little scattered because I kind of have mixed together this village aesthetic with Gaston's home, Belle's cottage, Mike and Sully's place, but then I also have kind of like this fantasy, very whimsical idea in mind for the bind. So maybe there's different sections that this could kind of work, where like the wilted flower cottage could kind of go, as well as this mushroom house. Now, the mushroom house is kind of an interesting one. I'm not sure if this will look best in the bind because of the colors, because I also could see it looking quite nice in Ever After, which has a mushroom wonderland kind of aesthetic we'll talk about in just a moment. So I could see this home possibly looking good in either of those biomes. So I kind of have it just tucked away as a possible consideration for moving on to the Storybook Vale. Next to that, we of course have the fairy godmother's house. I kind of just lumped this in because it's orange and goes with all the color palette, but I don't know, I really love having the fairy godmother in Dreamlight Valley. I think her house works really nicely in the Forgotten Lands, the Forest of Valor, and even the Peaceful Meadow. So I'm not sure where the fairy godmother will be living come the DLC, but I did want to include her home as one of the houses that I think could possibly look good in the bind. Now, of course, there's other homes that could probably look good in the bind. Those are just ones that I'm considering right off the bat. I think actually Goofy's home could probably look nice in the bind, maybe even Mickey's, although I'm not so sure I want to move them. Let's move on to Ever After. This is that magical, kind of dark Alice in Wonderland inspired biome. There's going to be lots of glowing mushrooms and teacup elements in this biome, and I think it's going to be one of my absolute favorite biomes because my channel is my day-old tea, and all the teacups and things I see in this biome have me very excited. So this biome is very cool, and I am very excited for it. However, I'm having a difficult time kind of deciding what homes I think would work over there. So I've pulled out a few possibilities and arranged them over here. First off being this summery flower cottage. I love this home. It's so beautiful, lights up at night, which I think is going to be a really nice touch in Ever After, having some light up homes, especially in the evening with all the glowing mushrooms. I think it's going to look so good. But I really love this home also in the meadow. It really looks good in the forest. What is going on with the clouds? That was kind of spooky. Anyway, this home very well may remain in my meadow, but I have to at least consider it over there. It definitely gives Alice in Wonderland vibes with the large oversized flowers. I think they would look good with all the mushrooms over there. I'm really excited to see what items and foliage we get to work with over there because I think the design possibilities are going to be so good. So this is one of my considerations for Ever After. I also have Minnie's house and Daisy's house. I really like the two of their homes together, and I'm considering possibly moving them over to Ever After as well, just because they have very whimsical, fantasy-driven color houses, and I think the pinks and purples would really suit that biome nicely, although I'm not so sure what I plan on doing with all my Mickey and Friends villagers during this whole Valley design makeover process. So these are just some homes I'm considering possibly moving over there as well. I've been hearing quite a few people mention that they're probably going to be moving Belle and Beast's house to Storybook Vale somewhere. I think that honestly their house could probably work in any three of the biomes, maybe Ever After and Mythopia a bit better. But because of the colors and how nicely they work with the homes that I've already kind of started to consider maybe moving over to Ever After, I've lumped them in this kind of category, at least for the time being. Again, don't know if they'll actually be moving there, but this is just another home I'm possibly considering moving to the Storybook Vale. And then lastly over here, oh wait, there's two actually. Let's talk about this. Tinkerbell's house, so adorable. Big fan of this one. Again, the teapot just kind of makes sense to me to have this one over in Ever After. I love this home in my valley. I think it looks really good in the meadow too, though. I don't know if I'll be willing to let it go, but I think it would look really cute in Ever After if you have this home as well. Also lights up at night. There's a glowing flower on the front. It just looks so cute. And then here I have the flowery summer cottage. Now this house, I'm actually kind of torn. I'm thinking, you know, it definitely looks good in the meadow. Really big fan of it in the meadow. But I think it could also work in either Ever After or possibly even in Mythopia. Mythopia is actually the biome that I really don't have a clue with what I'm going to do. And I kind of felt that way about Glittering Dunes for a while, and it ended up being the first one that I fully decorated. So who knows what is going to happen. From the showcase and trailer, we saw that Mythopia is going to be very golden, lots of pink flowers and columns. And I think we have some Hercules furniture that's going to look really good over there. But as far as houses, I really don't know who's going to move to Mythopia. I think that because this house has beautiful pink flowers trailing all over it, it could work really nicely in Mythopia, but it could definitely look good in Ever After too. So we'll have to see how I'm feeling once the DLC arrives, but this is just another home I'm possibly considering moving to Mythopia. I decided to fly on over to Eternity Isle. Eternity Isle is fully decorated for me currently, so I'm not as inclined to move some of these villagers just because I'm really happy with how their homes currently look over here. But I do think that Mini Casita, Mirabelle's home, could potentially look really good somewhere on Storybook Vale, whether it be, I don't know, maybe Mythopia. I could kind of see it working over there, although Mirabelle doesn't really suit the god aesthetic for that biome. Although not really many of the villagers do. The only one that really comes to mind for that biome is a very particular demigod who lives over here in the lagoon, and that is Maui's house. Now, we really don't know if there's gonna be enough like water space to put Maui's house because it does need to be placed in water. For Eternity Isle, there ended up not being very many water places where homes could fit. I don't know if there will be a place for Maui in Mythopia, but being that he is a demigod, I think that his home might suit cute Mythopia. It does have the pink flowers, which I saw are scattered all throughout Mythopia. So I don't know, Mally could potentially move over there, although I'm quite happy with his home here in the lagoon. I do have a full tour of the wild Tangle, including the lagoon here on my channel. So let's talk about some of the new villagers coming in this DLC and where I think their homes might look best. Of course, again, this could definitely change once I actually start playing the DLC. I could very well change my mind, but at least this is what I'm considering so far. Merida's house seems to be this stony cottage covered in foliage, and I think that her home has a few possibilities of where it might look good. I think the Forest of Valor would be a beautiful home for her house. I could also see her home working really well in Ever After. I'm not sure if there's anywhere else on Storybook Vale that I might like to place her home. Those are kind of the locations I'm considering the most for Merida. Now, we also know that Flynn Rider from Tangled is expected in this DLC. I'm very excited to see him finally get to interact with Rapunzel and give some glaring looks to Mother Gothel, of course. Flynn's home, I think it just makes sense to have near Rapunzel. I currently have her living in the Forest of Valor, although that might change. I think his home would look really good over there. His home looks like it has a few possibilities for where it might look best, but I'm really just kind of considering the forest for him. I think it would look good in Ever After for sure, but the forest just kind of feels right for Flynn Rider and Rapunzel, and I think that along with homes like the Snuggly Duckling, you could really make a cute Tangled inspired village. Another character we know we're getting in the DLC is Hades, and I'm really excited to meet Hades. Hades definitely makes sense to live in Mythopia. However, I really just don't know that his home suits that biome's aesthetic for me. I actually think that his home might look nice in Ancient's Landing, although I don't really have a good spot for him. I do over here have like a whole world built for Ursula on that island, and maybe Hades' home would look good over there. I'm not so sure the two of them would want to share. That's a possibility somewhere in Ancient's Landing. And of course, I think the Forgotten Lands would be a great location for Hades' home, but I don't know where he's gonna end up living, although I'm really thinking I might move him out of Mythopia. And we also know Maleficent is coming in this DLC in the second half, and I didn't really find a clear image of what Maleficent's home might look like. I'm expecting it to be a dark castle, and then we are expecting another additional character added into the DLC, which hasn't been announced. However, there is speculation that it is most likely Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. I really hope Aurora gets to live in her gorgeous forest castle. And if that's the case, if she's the character, if she's living in her Briar Rose cottage that she lives in with the fairies, I think that the Forest of Valor might be the perfect location for her. Fairy Godmother is over here giving me some sass. Maybe she doesn't like that suggestion. Maybe she is just waving that wand like, excuse me, that is not the final character. Only time will tell. Let me know who you guys think the unreleased character will be for this DLC, and what are your plans for these biomes? What kind of aesthetic do you think you're going to design in them? I know it's really early, but new biomes have me very excited for new design possibilities. And in that process, I've also been considering what villagers I would want to move to Storybook Vale and where everybody is gonna go, especially since I am trying to redesign my whole valley. So let's open up a discussion to talk about all these things in the comments. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, and of course getting to play the Storybook Vale alongside you guys. I will be streaming the day of the update on November 20th when that drops, so I hope you guys will consider joining. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe, and if you're looking for other ways to get ready in preparation for the Storybook Vale, I have made a little to-do list of things that I am focusing on for this update in particular. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.